The beeping of the heart monitor was the only sound in the room. It was slow, rhythmic, and mocking. Beep, 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 beep. I tried to lift my hand, but my fingers wouldn't move. I tried to scream, but my throat felt like it was filled with cement. My body was a heavy, useless stone. I could only move my eyes. Is it done? A soft, familiar voice asked. Selina, my best friend, my sister and everything but blood? It's done, a man's voice replied, smooth, deep, the voice I fell in love with. The lawyers just confirmed the transfer. The Vance Group, the estate, the offshore accounts. It's all mine now. Adrian, my husband. My eyes started frantically to the side. They were standing at the foot of my bed, but they weren't crying. They weren't holding each other for comfort. They were smiling. Finally, Selina sighed, walking over to check her reflection in the darkened window. I thought she would never sign those papers. She dragged it out for weeks. She wanted to read the fine print, Adrian chuckled, stepping closer to me. He looked down, his blue eyes cold and empty of the warmth I had worshipped for 5 years. But my Elara, she always trusted me too much. Didn't you, darling? I wanted to spit in his face. I wanted to tear the forger from my arm and strangle him. Why? Why are you doing this? Look at her eyes, Selina said, laughing lightly. She's awake. She can hear us. Good, Adrian said. He leaned down, whispering directly into my ear. I want you to know, Elara, it wasn't a sudden illness. It wasn't bad luck. It was the tonic, Selina finished for him. She walked to the bedside table and picked up the small glass bottle, the one she had personally brought me every morning for the last 6 months. For your health, remember? To help you get pregnant, we said. Small doses of arsenic, Adrian explained calmly as if discussing the weather. Tasteless, odorless, and untraceable until it's too late. You've been drinking your own death every single morning. My heart hammered against my ribs, but the monitor just kept it slow. Dying rhythm, betrayal. It tasted bitter, worse than the poison. Don't look so shocked, Selina sneered, her face twisting into ugliness. You had everything. Money, status, him. You thought you were so special, but you were just a stepping stone. And now Adrian straightened up, checking his watch. You're a loose end. He reached out and placed his hand over my oxygen mask. Go to sleep, Elara. Selina and I have a honeymoon to plan. Using your money. No, rage, hot and fiery, exploded in my chest. I will kill you, I swear it. If there is a god, if there is a devil, I don't care. Let me come back. Let me make them pay. The darkness swallowed me. The beeping stopped. Gasp. My eyes snapped open. I sucked in a violent, desperate breath, my lungs burning as if I had been drowning. Miss Elara, are you all right? I jerked my head up. The sterile hospital smell was gone. The beeping was gone. I was sitting in a soft velvet chair. The smell of fresh lily and hairspray filled the air. I looked into the mirror in front of me. The face staring back wasn't gaunt and pale. It was flushed, youthful, and alive. My hair was styled in perfect glossy waves. I looked down at my body. I wasn't wearing a hospital gown. I was wearing a white silk robe with bride embroidered on the back. Miss Elara? I spun around. Martha, my old housekeeper, was standing there holding a garnet bag, Martha ... who had died 2 years ago in my past life. She looked worried. Martha? My voice trembled. I reached out and touched her arm. It was warm, solid. You're here. Of course I'm here, child, Martha smiled gently. It's your big day. You can't get married without your dress. Married? I whipped my head back to the vanity table. There, resting on the wooden surface, was a calendar June 12th, 2020. My hand shook as I picked it up. It's 5 years ago, I whispered. Cold feet? Martha teased gently, unzipping the bag to reveal the massive, expensive lace wedding dress. Don't worry, Mr. Adrian is waiting for you at the altar. He loves you very much. Hearing his name made bile rise in my throat. The image of him pinching my oxygen tube flashed in my mind. I stood up slowly, my legs feeling strong, my heart beating with a steady, powerful rhythm. I wasn't dead. I was back. I looked at my reflection again. The naive, stupid girl who died in that hospital bed was gone. I clenched my fists until my knuckles turned white. Yes, I said, my voice dropping to a whisper that Martha couldn't hear. He's waiting. and I'm going to make him wish he never met me. My hands trembled as I traced the line of my jaw. Smooth skin, no scars, no foretubes, I was really back. Hold still, Miss Elara, Martha chided gently, tugging at the corset strings. We want you breathless for the groom, not fainting from lack of air. I caught Martha's reflection in the mirror. Her kind wrinkled face. Adrian had fired her a month after the wedding in my past life, claiming she was stealing silver to isolate me. I knew now it was because she suspected him. Martha, I choked out, tears stinging my eyes. Now, she soothed, patting my shoulder. None of that. You'll ruin your makeup. Mr. Adrian is waiting. Let him wait, I whispered, though I forced a smile. No matter what Adrian says later, you come to me first. You answer only to me. She blinked, surprised by the steel in my voice. Of course, miss. I've always served the Vance family first. Good, remember that. I took a deep breath. Every fiber of my being wanted to scream, to tear this white lace dress off and run, but I couldn't. The media was outside. The board of directors was in the pews. If I ran now, I'd be the hysterical, unstable heiress. Adrian would play the heartbroken victim and gain control of the company through my incapacity. No, I had to say I do to undo him completely. The organ music swelled. The doors opened. I walked down the aisle, clutching my bouquet so hard the stem snapped. Adrian stood at the altar. He looked perfect, the golden boy. He wiped a tear from his eye as I approached. Actor. You look radiant, he whispered as I reached him, taking my hand. His touch made my skin crawl. I feel overwhelmed, I said, letting a tear slip. I've got you. He squeezed my hand, his thumb stroking my knuckles. I'll take care of everything. I know you will, I thought. You'll take care of my life right out of existence. The vows were a blur of lies. I said the words, sealing my fate for the second time. I now pronounce you man and wife. He kissed me. It felt like a brand. Later, at the reception, the champagne flowed. Elara. Selina squealed, rushing over to hug me. She smelled of expensive perfume, a gift I had bought her. I was crying so hard. You two are perfect. I saw the tightness in her jaw, the way her eyes lingered on Adrian. Jealousy. Pure and ugly. Thank you, Selina, I said, pulling back to look her in the eye. I'm so lucky to have a friend who would never betray me. She flinched just barely. Of course, never. Come, wife, Adrian interrupted, sliding his arm around my waist. It's time for our first dance. He pulled me onto the floor. As we swayed to the music, he pulled me close. Tomorrow I'll stop by the bank, he murmured against my hair. We can finalize the joint accounts. Get everything merged like we discussed. I rested my head on his chest, listening to his heartbeat. It was calm. He thought he had won. I was thinking. With the market so volatile right now, my financial advisor suggested we keep the accounts separate for a few months. For tax purposes. His smile didn't vanish, but it froze. The light in his eyes dimmed. Separate? But we agreed. It's just for the audit, I lied smoothly, caressing his lapel. You don't mind, do you? It's all the same money in the end. Unless you needed the cash for something specific? He stared at me, searching for a crack. I gave him nothing but a wide, innocent, bridal smile. No, he said stiffly. Of course not. Whatever you think is best. I knew you'd understand. The music swelled, but I saw his hand clench into a fist behind my back. The game has begun. Just sign right there, darling. Adrian slid the thick document across the mahogany breakfast table. He uncapped his fountain pen and held it out to me, the gold nib glinting in the morning sun. What is this? I asked, blinking slowly as I took a sip of my tea. I made sure my hand trembled just a little. It's the joint asset agreement we talked about, he said, his smile perfectly practiced. It allows me to manage the Vance Group's accounts directly without bothering you for signatures every time. It's to make your life easier, Elara. You've been so stressed lately. In my past life, I had signed this without reading a word. I had thanked him for taking the burden off my shoulders. That signature had been the death warrant for my fortune. His smile faltered. You can't what? I can't think about business right now, I said, putting a hand to my forehead. The one-year memorial for my father is next week, my heart. It just feels so heavy. I don't want to make any big decisions until after I've paid my respects properly. Adrian's jaw tightened. Elara, it's been a year. Business doesn't stop for grief. The board needs this access now. But you said you'd take care of me, I whimpered softly, looking up at him with wide, watery eyes. Are you rushing me? It feels like you care more about the company than my feelings. I never said that. He snapped, his voice raising a sharp octave. I flinched visibly. You're yelling at me. He froze. He realized he had slipped. He took a deep breath and forced the charm back onto his face, though his eyes remained cold. I'm sorry, baby, I'm just stressed. We can wait until next week. He snatched the papers back a little too quickly. I just want what's best for us. I know, I lied. 2 hours later, I walked into the dimly lit office of Ben Carter. He was my father's oldest friend and the company's head legal counsel. Elara? Ben stood up, adjusting his glasses. I wasn't expecting you. Adrian usually handles the meetings now. That's exactly why I'm here, Ben, I said, closing the door behind me and locking it. I need you to do something for me. And Adrian cannot know about it. Ben sat back down, his expression shifting from surprise to seriousness. I'm listening. I want you to set up an irrevocable trust fund for my sister Lily, I stated firmly, sitting opposite him. Transfer $5 million into it immediately. Lock it so that neither Adrian nor I can touch it until she turns 25. $5 million? Ben raised an eyebrow. That will raise flags with the finance department. Adrian will see the withdrawal. Let him see it, I said coldly. It's my money. But I have another request. I want a full quiet audit of the company accounts from the last 6 months. Ben leaned forward, lowering his voice. Elara, are you suggesting what I think you are? If Adrian finds out you're auditing him, ... He won't find out until it's too late, I cut him off. My father built this empire. I won't let a thief dismantle it from the inside. Can I trust you, Ben? Your father saved my life once, Ben said, a fire lighting in his eyes. I serve the Vance family, not Mr. Thorne. Good. I stood up to leave, my heart pounding. Securing Lily's future was the first step, but Ben was just a shield. To destroy Adrian, I needed a sword. I needed the one man Adrian was terrified of. Julian Kale. Stay here, Elara. You look pretty, but leave the talking to the men. Adrian patted my cheek, his touch patronizing and light. We were standing in the center of the grand hall, surrounded by the city's elite. Crystal chandeliers glittered overhead, but the air felt heavy with fake laughter and hidden agendas. He turned his back on me immediately, heading toward a group of investors. As soon as he was gone, my smile vanished. I wasn't here to be a trophy. I was here to find a weapon. I scanned the room, ignoring the waiters offering champagne. My eyes landed on a figure standing alone near the balcony doors. He was tall, wearing a black suit that fit him like armor. Julian Kale. In my past life, I had publicly humiliated him. I called him a parasite to defend Adrian's honor. I took a deep breath, smoothed my silk dress, and walked straight toward him. Mr. Kale, I said, my voice steady. He turned slowly. His eyes were dark, sharp, and unforgiving. To what do I owe the displeasure? Did you come to throw another drink in my face, or do you have more insults to share? I came to apologize, I said, stepping into his personal space, and to make you money. He laughed, a dry, humorless sound. I have plenty of money. And I don't need apologies from Adrian Thorne's puppet. I'm not his puppet, I whispered, dropping the facade. My eyes locked onto his. Not anymore. He paused, studying my face. He saw something there, the rage I was barely holding back. Adrian is bidding on the city center project this Friday, I said quickly, keeping my voice low. He's going to bid $12 million. He thinks it's a lock because he bribed the councilman's aide. Julian's eyes narrowed. Why are you telling me this? Because if you bid $11.5 million, you'll win. A vacation. A meeting, I said. Tomorrow. 10 a.m. at the cafe on 4th Street, alone. You're betraying your husband, he stated, watching me closely. I'm saving myself, I corrected. Do we have a deal? He took a sip of his drink, his gaze never leaving mine. If the intel is good, I'll be there. If you're playing me, Elara, I will crush you. I'm counting on it, I murmured. I turned and walked away before Adrian could spot us. My heart was racing. I made my way back toward the center of the room. That's when I saw them. Selina was standing near the hallway entrance, wearing a dress that was cut too low. She was staring at Adrian, who was laughing with a group of men. He glanced at her, and a look of hunger passed between them. He gave a subtle nod toward the corridor. Predictable. The guests around me gasped. Elara! Adrian rushed over, his face twisting in annoyance. For God's sake, look at you. I'm so clumsy, I cried, feigning embarrassment. I need to go to the washroom to clean this up. I'll be a while. I will, I promised. I hurried toward the restrooms, but I didn't go inside. They are heading to the east hallway, I whispered to him. Get the photos. Make sure you get their faces. The waiter nodded and slipped his phone out of his pocket, disappearing into the shadows. I watched him go, a cold smile touching my lips. Oh, I said, pausing as I stirred my coffee. Did you hear about Mark from the country club? Adrian didn't look up. No, what about him? His wife found a second phone hidden in his car, I said, taking a slow sip. Turns out he was having an affair with his secretary. She knew for months, apparently. She just waited until he moved his assets into a joint account before filing for divorce. Now she gets everything. Adrian choked on his toast. Are you okay, darling? I asked, patting his back harder than necessary. I'm fine, he wheezed, his face pale. I know, I smiled. He was so sloppy. I would never let someone make a fool of me like that, would you? Never, he muttered, wiping his mouth. He looked at me with a flicker of fear. You aren't looking through my car, are you? Why would I? I laughed. Later that afternoon, he came home to find the living room covered in shopping bags. Elara. He stared at the orange Hermes boxes and the jewelry cases. What is all this? Retail therapy, I hummed, holding up a diamond tennis bracelet. Do you like it? It was only 40,000. 40,000. His eyes bugged out. Elara, that cash in the safe was for... Oh, don't be boring, I pouted, putting the bracelet on. You told me at the wedding that I deserved the best. Unless we're having money problems, is the company struggling? Liquid cash is important right now. Well, you're the CEO, I said, turning back to the mirror. Make more. Before he could argue, the doorbell rang. That's Mother, he groaned. Mrs. Thorne marched in, looking around the room with disdain. Brew me some Earl Grey, hot, and bring those butter cookies I like. In the past, I would have scrambled to the kitchen. Today, I stayed seated. I'm afraid I can't, Mrs. Thorne, I said calmly. The room went silent. Adrian looked from me to his mother in shock. Excuse me? She hissed. The doctor said I must avoid stress, and you are very stressful. I stood up and walked toward the stairs. Adrian. Close the door when you leave. I left them arguing and slipped out the back exit an hour later. I walked into the small cafe on 4th Street. Jillian was already in the back booth. You were right, he said simply. I usually am, I replied, sliding into the seat opposite him. The council awarded me the contract an hour ago. A small, dangerous smile played on his lips. He lost his deposit. That's just the beginning. Why are you doing this, Elara? He asked, leaning forward. His dark eyes searched mine. Because death is too easy, I whispered. I want him to lose everything first. He stared at me, fascinated. I pulled my hand back. We have a deal, Mr. Kale, I said, my voice shaky. Don't complicate it. What's the next move? We go after his pride, I said, hardening my heart. What is she doing here? Adrian's voice was a low hiss. He gripped my elbow, pulling me into the foyer away from the open front door. We discussed this, Elara. The Swiss Academy is the best place for her development. You discussed it, I corrected, yanking my arm from his grasp. I decided my sister belongs at home. She's a distraction, he snapped, his mask of patience slipping. We're newlyweds. We need privacy. Send her back. She stays, Adrian. If you don't like it, you can leave. Before he could explode, the door swung fully open. Lily stood there, clutching her backpack straps. She looked so young, so fragile. In my past life, I let him send her away to isolate me, and I never saw her alive again. Elara? She asked, her voice trembling. Lily! I rushed forward, ignoring Adrian's glare. I wrapped her in a fierce, crushing hug. I buried my face in her shoulder to hide the sudden tears. Is he mad? Lily whispered, glancing over my shoulder at Adrian. As she ran up the stairs, I turned back to Adrian. He was seething, but he forced a tight, fake smile. Fine, he muttered. But keep her out of my business. 2 days later, I found them on the patio. Selina was leaning in close to Lily, a predatory glint in her eyes. You know, Elara has been under so much stress lately, Selina was saying, her voice dripping with fake concern. If she says anything crazy to you, just come to me, okay? I'm here for you. Gaslighting. She was starting early. Selina, I interrupted, stepping through the glass doors. A word, now. Selina jumped. I was just catching up with now. She rolled her eyes at Lily and followed me into the study. I shut the door and locked it. You're being rude, Selina huffed, crossing her arms. I didn't yell. I stepped closer, invading her personal space until she backed against the desk. I know what you're doing, I said, my voice barely a whisper. I'm being a friend. You want him, I said, smiling coldly. You want my husband. You want my money. You want my life. Her face drained of color. Elara, you're delusional. I know what you want, I repeated, leaning in until our noses almost touched. And you will never have it. She stared at me, rattled for the first time. She grabbed her purse and stormed out. In the driveway, Selina's assistant, Chloe, was struggling with a stack of garment bags. Hurry up, you useless girl. Selina shrieked, shoving past her to get into the car. If you drop those, I'm docking your pay. Chloe flinched, tears welling in her eyes. I waited for Selina's car to peel away before walking up to Chloe. Here, I said, handing her a tissue. Thank you, Mrs. Thorne. She sniffled. I'm sorry, I'm just ... She treats you like a slave, I stated. I need the money, Chloe whispered, looking down. My mom is sick. I reached into my pocket and pulled out a thick envelope. This is $5,000, I said, pressing it into her hand. Chloe's eyes widened. I can't. Take it, I insisted. Then I pressed a small burner phone into her other hand. I don't want you to quit, Chloe. I want you to work for me. What do you mean? Tell me everything she does, I whispered. Who she texts. Where she goes. Be my eyes. Chloe looked at the cash, then at the direction Selina had gone, her grip tightened on the phone. She has a second phone, Chloe whispered rapidly, in the glove box. The passcode is 0612. My wedding date, I mused, a bitter laugh escaping me. Good girl. Are you absolutely sure about this, Elara? Adrian asked, his eyes scanning the digital prospectus on the tablet. His fingers tapped a nervous rhythm on the desk. Have I been wrong yet? I asked, leaning against the edge of his mahogany desk. I crossed my arms, projecting effortless confidence. The copper deal I told you about last month made you $200,000. The shipping stock? Another 3. True, he muttered, licking his lips. Greed was a hungry look on him. This is bigger, I lowered my voice as if sharing a state secret. Nexus Dynamics. My source says the acquisition goes public tomorrow morning. The stock will triple by noon. Triple? His head snapped up. But the buying closes at 5 p.m. today, I said, checking my watch. It's already 2. The audit ... the accounts are frozen or tied up. So leverage the assets, I suggested, my tone casual. Use the house. Use the yacht. It's just for 24 hours, Adrian. Once the stock jumps, you sell, pay back the loans, and keep the millions in profit. It's free money. He stared at the screen. He was imagining Bezeros. He wasn't thinking about the risk because he thought it was his lucky charm. He didn't know Nexus Dynamics was a shell company Julian had created just for this moment. Get Leo on the phone, he barked at the intercom. Minutes later, he was shouting into the receiver. I don't care about the interest rate, Leo. Just get the loan sanctioned. Put the mansion up as collateral. Yes, the whole estate. Just do it. He slammed the phone down and grinned at me. It was a manic, desperate grin. It's done, he said. We're all in. You're so brave, darling, I cooed, hiding the smirk that threatened to break through. You're going to be richer than my father ever was. You're going to be homeless. That evening, the atmosphere in the dining room was thick enough to cut with a knife. This roast is dry, Selina commented, pushing a piece of meat around her plate. She looked tired. I'll speak to the chef, I said politely. More wine, Selina? Please. I poured her a generous glass of red. Adrian was barely eating. He kept checking his phone, waiting for the market updates that wouldn't come until morning. You seem distracted, Adrian, Selina said, her voice sharp. Is something wrong? Just business, he grunted, not looking at her. Just business? She pressed. You've been busy a lot lately. Late nights at the office? I'm the CEO, Selina, I work. My phone buzzed loudly against the glass tabletop. Buzz, buzz. I picked it up, glanced at the screen, and let my eyes go wide. I gasped, then quickly placed the phone face up on the table, looking flustered. I forgot the dessert sauce, I stammered, standing up abruptly. I'll be right back. Don't touch anything. I practically ran into the kitchen, leaving the phone unlocked and glowing. I stood behind the kitchen door, watching through the crack. Selina waited exactly 3 seconds. She glanced at Adrian, who was still ignoring her, then reached out and snatched my phone. She read the text message I had sent to myself from a burner number saved as Private Investigator Ray. Update, I tracked his car to the Diamond Motel. He was there for 2 hours this afternoon. I saw the girl, blonde, maybe 20 years old. Definitely not the friend you mentioned. Photos attached. Selina went pale. Her hand shook as she put the phone back exactly where it was. She wasn't blonde and she wasn't 20. She looked at Adrian with pure hatred. She thought his business deal was a young mistress. She thought he was cheating on her, the mistress, with someone else. I walked back in, carrying a silver tray. Here we are, I announced cheerfully. Strawberry tart. I'm not hungry, Selina spat, standing up. Her chair scraped loudly against the floor. Leaving so soon? I asked. I have a headache, she glared at Adrian. A splitting headache. Suit yourself, Adrian mumbled, still oblivious. Selina stormed out. I watched her go, then looked at my husband, who had just mortgaged his life away for a scam. More tart, darling? I asked sweet as poison. Sure, he said. I cut him a large slice. He deserved a last meal. You look nervous, Elara, Adrian whispered, straightening his silk bow tie in the reflection of the backstage mirror. Don't be. You just have to stand there and look pretty while I accept the crown. I'm not nervous, Adrian, I replied, smoothing the fabric of my midnight blue gown. I'm just anticipating the applause. He laughed, a sound of pure arrogance. They love me. The stock is up well. It will be tomorrow after the announcement. The Nexus deal is going to make me a legend. He didn't know the money was already gone, vanished into a black hole of debt, transferred into Jillian's offshore accounts. Mr. and Mrs. Thorne, the stage manager whispered, pointing to the curtain. You're on in 5. Ready to be the wife of the most powerful man in the city? Adrian smirked, offering me his arm. I'm ready for everything that's coming, I said, taking his arm. The curtains parted. The ballroom was a sea of diamonds, tuxedos, and hungry eyes. The applause was polite, restrained. We walked to the center of the stage. The massive LED screen behind us displayed the Vance Group logo in gold. Adrian reached for the microphone on the podium. I stepped in front of him and took it first. Elara? He hissed, his smile freezing. What are you doing? The script says... Thank you all for coming, I said, my voice ringing clear through the speakers, cutting him off. Adrian stiffened behind me. He took a step closer, his hand hovering near my back, a threat disguised as affection. Give me the mic, he whispered through gritted teeth. I ignored him. My husband was about to announce a new era for the Vance Group. He was going to tell you about his vision for the future, but the future is ... unpredictable. I looked down at the VIP table in the front row. Mr. Sterling was sitting there, his face grim. He gave me a slow nod. Effective immediately, I continued, my voice hardening. The board of directors has launched a full forensic investigation into the company's finances due to significant irregularities. The room went silent. The clinking of silverware stopped. You could hear a pin drop. Irregularities? Adrian laughed nervously, stepping into the spotlight. Honey, you've had too much champagne. Ignore her, everyone. My wife is... I am perfectly sober, Adrian, I said, turning to face him. Mr. Sterling, would you care to elaborate? Mr. Sterling stood up. He didn't need a microphone. His voice carried the weight of judgment. We have uncovered evidence of embezzlement, unauthorized high-risk loans, and corporate theft. As of this moment, Adrian Thorne is suspended from all executive duties pending a legal inquiry. Suspended? Adrian screamed, his facade shattering. You can't do this. I am the CEO. I own this company. Actually, I smiled. You don't own anything. The bank called an hour ago. They're foreclosing on the estate. You did this, he gasped, his eyes bulging. I'll kill you. Oh, and one more thing, I said, pointing to the massive screen behind us. We found some other interesting files during the audit. I pressed the small clicker concealed in my palm. The golden logo vanished. A photo appeared. It was high resolution, taken by the waiter I had bribed. Adrian and Selina standing in the east hallway, his hand aggressively gripping her waist, her lips on his neck. Click, another photo. Selina screaming at Adrian in a parking lot, her face twisted in rage. Click. A screenshot of a text message provided by Chloe. It was from Adrian to Selina, dated 3 months ago. Just sign the papers. Once Elara is out of the way, the money is ours. I can't stand looking at her anymore. Turn it off. Adrian shrieked, shielding his face with his hands. Turn it off right now. I looked into the crowd. Selina was standing near the buffet table. She looked like a ghost. People were backing away from her as if she were contagious. She covered her mouth, tears streaming down her face, but no one moved to comfort her. It seems, I said, addressing the shocked audience, that the irregularities extend to my marriage as well. You planned this, Adrian growled, lunging at me. You witch! You set me up! Security. Mr. Sterling shouted. 2 large men in black suits materialized from the wings. They grabbed Adrian by the shoulders before he could touch me. Get your hands off me. Adrian thrashed, his tuxedo tearing at the shoulder. I am the CEO. Elara, tell them. Tell them it's a lie. I looked at him sweaty, desperate, and utterly ruined. I'm sorry, Adrian, I said, my voice projecting sadness for the crowd, but my eyes dancing with victory. I can't lie for you anymore, it's over. Selina. He screamed as they dragged him toward the exit. Selina, tell them. But Selina was already running toward the side doors, fleeing the flashes of 100 cameras. They dragged him off the stage, his screams echoing in the stunned silence. I stood alone in the spotlight. I didn't shrink. I didn't cry. I bowed. My phone vibrated against my thigh as the car pulled into the driveway. I glanced down at the screen. It was a message from Julian. Vance Group stock is down 60%. We just cleared $25 million on the short. Funds are secure in your offshore account. Congratulations, partner. I allowed myself a single, satisfied breath. The empire Adrian thought he was stealing was now ashes, and I collected the insurance money on the fire. I walked into the house. The sound of crashing glass greeted me. In the living room, Adrian was destroying everything. A vase shattered against the wall. The television was tipped over, screen cracked. He stood in the center of the debris, his tuxedo torn, his hair wild, looking like a cornered animal. You, he screamed, spinning around when he heard my heels click on the floor. You did this. You planned this. I did, I said, stepping over a shard of porcelain. My voice was calm, contrasting his hysteria. I told you, Adrian. I'm good at business. You ruined me. He lunged forward but stopped when he saw the look in my eyes. It wasn't the look of a submissive wife anymore. It was the look of an executioner. I'll sue you. I'll take everything. With what money? I asked, tilting my head. You leveraged the house. You leveraged your personal savings. You even stole from the company accounts I had frozen this morning. You have nothing, Adrian. You are negative millions. Why? He choked out, his hand shaking. I loved you. I gave you everything. Stop acting, I cut him off, my voice dropping to a terrifying chill. Did you think I was stupid? Did you think I didn't know? Know what? He blinked, sweat dripping down his forehead. About Selina? I can explain, she came onto me, not Selina. I stepped closer, staring into his soul. The tonic. He froze. His face went gray. The vitamins you were researching, I lied, bluffing with the knowledge from my past death. The arsenic, Adrian. Did you think I wouldn't find the search history on your laptop? Did you think I didn't find the vials you were planning to buy? He staggered back, terrified. In this timeline, he hadn't bought them yet, but the intent was there, rotting in his heart. My accuracy terrified him. You're a monster, he whispered. I'm a survivor, I corrected. Suddenly, the front door banged open. Adrian. Selina stormed in, mascara running down her face, looking disheveled and frantic. She didn't even look at me. She marched straight to Adrian and shoved him hard in the chest. "You liar!" she shrieked. "Selina, not now," Adrian pleaded, holding his hands up. "Elara knows. I don't care what she knows." Selina screamed, pulling out her phone and shoving the fake text messages in his face. "Who is she? Who is the blonde at the motel? You told me you were working late on the merger." Adrian looked at the phone, confused. "What? There is no blonde. I was with Leo trying to fix the loans." "Don't lie to me," Selina slapped him. The sound echoed through the room. "I saw the bank transfers." "You drained the accounts. Did you give it to her? Did you spend our money on some 20-year-old whore?" "I spent it on the stock." Adrian roared back, grabbing her wrists. "The stock that Elara tanked. There is no other woman, you idiot. We are broke. You're lying." She sobbed, struggling against him. "You used me. You promised we would run away together. I promised you money." He yelled, shoving her away. She stumbled into the couch. "But you're useless without it, aren't you?" I watched them. The two people who had murdered me in cold blood were now tearing each other apart over lies I had fed them. It was pathetic. It was disgusting. "Enough," I said. The command was soft, but it silenced the room. I slowly slid the diamond wedding ring off my finger. It felt heavy, burdened with 5 years of betrayal from a previous life. "I am the sole owner of this deed," I said, tossing the ring. It hit Adrian's chest and bounced to the floor with a hollow clink. "The locks are being changed in 1 hour. If you are still here, the police will remove you." "Elara, wait," Adrian stammered, realizing he had nowhere to go. "Baby, please, we can talk." "Get out," I whispered. "Get out of my house. Get out of my life." I turned my back on them and walked toward the stairs, listening to the beautiful sound of their world crumbling behind me. "This is completely illegal. She defrauded me." Adrian slammed his fist onto the polished oak conference table so hard that the water pitcher rattled. His face was a map of sleepless nights' eyes, bloodshot, skin sallow, unshaven patches on his jaw. Ben Carter didn't even blink. He sat calmly across from us, opening a thick leather folder. "Mr. Thorne, please lower your voice," Ben said, his tone bored. "Shouting won't change the law." "The law says I am entitled to half," Adrian spat, pointing a shaking finger at me. I sat silently next to Ben, checking my nails. We were married. The house, the cars, the accounts, it's community property. "I'm suing for 50% of her assets plus emotional damages." "Actually," Ben interrupted, sliding a document across the table, "you're entitled to nothing. In fact, you owe the estate legal fees." Adrian grabbed the paper. "What is this?" "The prenuptial agreement you signed 2 days before the wedding," Ben explained. "I believe you called it standard boilerplate at the time and refused to have your own counsel review it because you were, and I quote, in a rush to get to the bachelor party." "So what?" Adrian sneered. "Prenups can be contested." "Turn to page 40, Article 5, Section C," I said softly, finally looking at him. He frantically flipped the pages, tearing one in his haste. His eyes scanned the text, and I watched the blood drain from his face. "In the event of proven infidelity or gross financial misconduct by either party," Ben read aloud from his own copy, "the offending party forfeits all claims to marital assets and spousal support." "Infidelity?" Adrian choked out. "You can't prove that." "And the financial misconduct?" Ben raised an eyebrow. "We have the logs of you transferring company funds to a personal account, which you then lost in an unregulated market gamble." "That is embezzlement, Mr. Thorne. It's a felony." "We are being generous by letting you walk away instead of pressing charges immediately." You set me up," Adrian whispered, staring at me with pure venom. "You knew. You let me sign this. You let me invest. I gave you a rope, Adrian." I stood up, smoothing my skirt. "You chose to hang yourself with it. We're done here." "I'm not done," he screamed as I walked out the door. "Elara, get back here." It was dark by the time I left the office building. The underground parking lot was silent, save for the hum of the ventilation fans. I clutched my keys in one hand and a canister of pepper spray in the other. Paranoia was a habit now. I reached my car and unlocked it. "You think you've won." The voice came from behind a concrete pillar. Adrian stepped out. He looked unhinged, wearing the same clothes from the lawyer's office, now stained with sweat. Go home, Adrian, I said, keeping my voice steady. Or what's left of it. I have no home. He roared, his voice echoing off the concrete walls. The bank took the house today. Leo is looking for me. I owe people money who kill for fun, Elara. You have to give me the money. No, I said, opening my car door. I said give it to me. He lunged. He was fast. He grabbed my hair, yanking my head back. I screamed, fumbling for the pepper spray, but he slapped it out of my hand. It skittered across the floor. You bitch. He grunted, shoving me against the car door. His hands went for my throat. Fix this. Transfer the money or I swear to God. Thud. Suddenly, Adrian was ripped away from me. It happened so fast I barely saw it. 1 second he was choking me, but next he was pinned against the hood of my car, his arm twisted behind his back at a sickening angle. Ah, my arm. You're breaking it, Adrian shrieked. Julian Kale stood over him, his face a mask of terrifying calm. He leaned in close to Adrian's ear. Touch her again, Julian growled, his voice low and vibrating with violence. And you won't make it to jail. You won't even make it to the hospital. Julian? Adrian gasped, pain and shock in his eyes. You ... you're working with her? She's out of your league, Thorne. Julian tightened his grip, eliciting another whimper from Adrian. Now get up, run, before I change my mind about letting you live. He released Adrian, shoving him toward the exit ramp. Adrian stumbled, clutching his arm. He looked at me, then at Julian. He looked small. Pitiful, the monster who had haunted my nightmares was just a desperate, broken man. He turned and ran into the darkness. I slid down the side of my car, my legs giving out, but I wasn't crying. Are you hurt? Julian asked, kneeling beside me. No, I breathed, looking at the empty ramp. I'm free. Turn it up, Ben, I said, leaning back in my leather chair. On the wall-mounted screen, the breaking news banner flashed red. Vance Group scandal, former CEO arrested. We have confirmation, the reporter said, standing outside the police precinct, that Adrian Thorne has been taken into custody. His personal accountant, Leo Vargas, has agreed to testify in exchange for full immunity. Vargas claims Thorne orchestrated a massive embezzlement scheme, ... Leo sings like a canary when he's scared. Ben commented dryly, muting the TV with the remote. Rats always jump ship first, I replied, taking a sip of water. It's their nature. The intercom on my desk buzzed. Miss Vance? My receptionist's voice crackled. Selina Cross is here. SAE, she's refusing to leave until she sees you. I looked at Ben. He stood up, buttoning his jacket. Do you want me to handle it? No, I said, smoothing my skirt. Let her in. I want to see this. The double doors opened. Selina looked like a wreckage. Her designer clothes were rumpled, her hair was unwashed, and her eyes were swollen shut from crying. She didn't walk. She stumbled toward my desk. Elara, she sobbed, reaching out with shaking hands. Elara, please, you have to help me. Help you? I asked, not rising from my seat. With what? They fired me, she wailed, collapsing into the guest chair. The gallery let me go this morning. My landlord gave me an eviction notice because my accounts are frozen, my friends. No one will return my calls. They're saying I was part of the fraud. You were spending the stolen money. I pointed out coldly. That makes you an accomplice. I didn't know, she screamed, snot running down her nose. Adrian lied to me too. He manipulated me, Elara. I was a victim just like you. We were best friends. Best friends? I laughed, a sharp, humorless sound that made her flinch. Best friends don't sleep with their best friend's husband on her wedding night. Best friends don't plot to steal her inheritance while smiling at her dinner table. I was weak, she pleaded, grasping the edge of my mahogany desk. I'm sorry, I'll testify against him. I'll do anything. Just ... can I stay at the estate? Just for a few weeks until I get back on my feet? I looked at the box of tissues on my desk. I didn't offer her one. You made your choice, Selina, I said softly. You made it every time you smiled in my face while holding the knife behind your back. You made it when you laughed at me for being naive behind closed doors. Elara, please, I have nowhere to go. I pressed the intercom button. Security. Escort Miss Cross out. If she returns, call the police for trespassing. 2 uniformed guards entered. Selina screamed as they grabbed her by the arms and dragged her out, her heels scraping the floor. "You can't do this. We're family." The doors clicked shut. Ben asked quietly. "Yes," I said, standing up. "I need to close the book." The visiting room smelled of bleach and despair. I sat on the metal stool behind the thick plexiglass. Adrian shuffled in. He was wearing an orange jumpsuit that was too big for him. He looked 10 years older than he had yesterday. He sat down, picking up the black phone. I picked up mine. "You came to gloat?" He rasped, his voice rough. "I came to say goodbye," I said. "How?" he whispered, pressing his dirty hand against the glass. "How did you know everything, Elara?" "The accounts, the affair, the poison. I never told anyone about the poison." "Not even Selina. How did you know?" I leaned forward, my breath fogging the glass slightly. "You really want to know? Tell me." "Tell me." He banged the glass, his eyes wild. "Who are you?" "You aren't the Elara I married." "No," I agreed. "She was weak. She loved you blindly." "Why did you change?" he begged, tears filling his eyes. "We could have been happy." "Because I already died once for you, Adrian," I whispered. He froze. "What?" "I wasn't going to do it twice." I hung up the phone. "Wait, what does that mean?" He screamed, his voice muffled by the glass as I stood up. "Elara, come back. What does that mean?" I turned and walked away, the sound of his confused screams fading into nothing but a memory. "Ms. Vance, the board is waiting for your signature on the Shanghai expansion project." My assistant's voice chirped through the intercom. "Tell them I'll be there in 10 minutes, I replied, signing the last document on my stack with a flourish. "And send flowers to Lily's dorm. Pink tulips. She got an A on her history final. Will do, ma'am." "Oh, and the stock closed at 400 today." "Excellent. You can go home early, Sarah." I clicked the intercom off and leaned back in my chair, spinning slowly to face the floor-to-ceiling windows. The city of New York stretched out below me, a glittering grid of steel and ambition. 6 months ago, I was a victim. 6 months before that, I was a corpse. Now I was untouchable. The heavy oak door creaked open without a knock. Only one person dared to enter my office like that. "You look like you just conquered a country," a deep voice drawled. I spun the chair back around. Julian was leaning against the doorframe, a smirk playing on his lips. He held 2 crystal glasses and a bottle of aged scotch. "Just a hostile takeover," I corrected, accepting the glass he offered. "The Vance merger is officially the biggest news on Wall Street." "To us," he toasted, clinking his glass against mine. "The most dangerous partnership in the city." "To us," I echoed, taking a sip. The burn was pleasant. Julian sat on the edge of my desk, his dark suit perfectly tailored, his eyes scanning my face with an intensity that used to unsettle me. Now it just felt familiar, safe. "I heard the news," he said softly. "The sentencing was today." I paused, looking at the amber liquid in my glass. "Was it?" 20 years without parole," he said. Adrian cried when the judge read the verdict. "And Selina?" "She's working at a diner in Jersey, trying to pay off her legal debts." "They're ruined, Elara, completely." He watched me closely, looking for a reaction, a flinch, a tear, a smile. I felt nothing, just a quiet humming silence where the rage used to be. "It doesn't matter," I said, setting the glass down. "Doesn't it?" Julian asked, tilting his head. "You spent 2 lifetimes hating them, Elara. You tore the world apart to get even. Are you saying you don't feel a little satisfaction?" I stood up and walked to the window again. My reflection stared back stronger, sharper, alive. "I thought revenge was the goal," I admitted, my voice barely above a whisper. "I thought watching them suffer would fix me. And it was satisfying, Julian, I won't lie. Seeing his face when the police took him away, it was justice. But justice is just the cleanup." I turned to face him. "It's not the prize. The prize is this. The company, Lily's safety. My morning coffee without the taste of arsenic. The freedom to say no without fear." Julian stood up and crossed the room. He stopped just inches from me. The air between us crackled, electric and warm. "You're not the girl who walked up to me at that gala anymore," he murmured, his hand brushing a stray lock of hair from my cheek. "No," I whispered, leaning into his touch just slightly. "She died in a hospital bed. And what came after?" And what comes next? He asked, his thumb tracing my jawline. The war is over, Elara. The enemies are gone. What are you going to do with all this power? I looked at the skyline, then up at him. I saw a partner. An equal, maybe eventually something more. The war is over, I agreed, a slow, confident smile spreading across my lips. I took his hand, intertwining our fingers. But the rain? The rain has just begun. I squeezed his hand. I'm just getting started, Julian. He smiled, his eyes dancing with amusement and respect. Then lead the way, partner. I looked out at the world below. It was mine, all of it. I was no longer the victim. I was the queen of my own life, and no one would ever steal it from me again.